But we need that. We need the undefeated going against the undefeated to create these exciting fights. I knew how many people were saying, oh, is she as good as people are saying? It's just because of her dad. It's just because of this. I knew all those things were going on in the background, but I trusted and believed in what I've been doing in the gym.
Hi, and welcome to The Real Women of Boxing. My name is Jacqui-Lee Pryce, and today's guest is only 19 years old. Her professional record is currently 3-0. Her name, Francesca, $1 billion baby Hennessy.
Woo!
How you doing?
I'm all good, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
You're very welcome. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. Been eating a lot of food since my last fight, so I'm a happy girl.
I was thinking actually, I bet you've had a week of just indulging a little bit. What are your favourite things to eat after a fight?
I love a Krispy Kreme. They're my favourite. The donuts, they're my weakness, they are. So I need to cut down on them a little bit.
Hey, listen, number one, you got to treat yourself, and number two, you're young, so I'm sure you're going to work that off very, very quickly.
I hope so.
We're going to have a quick chat about the big fight on Saturday evening in the super flyweight division between Shannon Ryan and Jasmine Zapotoczna. She fought for the WBA international belt in only her 7th fight. How do you see that fight? Do you enjoy it?
As a fan, intrigued to see the fight. So it was just a great fight. Both girls made a great account of themselves, and yeah, it was just an amazing fight for the fans to see. These are the fights we need to see, and just two undefeated girls going at it. Like, we don't see that much, so it was great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. Late change of opponent for Shannon Ryan. So I was wondering if it would have thrown her off a little bit, but it didn't seem to trouble her at all, did it?
No, definitely not. I mean, it was like, Jasmine, she's a great girl. It was just a great back and forth fight, wasn't it? It was just amazing. I think Jasmine's opponent as well, so hers changed as well. So I think both the girls were in the same boat a little bit, wasn't they, with their situation. So I think they was just both happy to have someone to fight, because you know what it's like when you've done a whole camp and then you don't have a fight. It's really not the best situation to be in. So it's great that both girls could fight each other.
Yeah, 100%. I think, what is she supposed to fight? Maisie?
Yeah,
yeah.
They were supposed to fight. That would have been a good fight as well. I know Maisie as well, so I know all of them, so I'll just sat on the fence a bit. But they're all great girls, so there's great fights to be made with them all down the line, definitely.
I mean, it's tough, isn't it? Because the pool is so small. You're going to have come across each other either on the amateur circuit because you were an amateur, or, you know, just through sparring. So it's a little bit difficult, isn't it? And then I don't know if you found this, that if you show support to one person, sometimes people get the ump. Yeah,
definitely. Especially like when you know them all. It's just a bit of an awkward one. So yeah, it can get a bit awkward, like when everyone's fighting, but it is what it is at the end of the day. We're all here to do the same thing. We're all here to elevate in our journey. So yeah, as a fan, those fights are great to see. When you see two undefeated girls, as I said, going at it, like, you don't see it much in the sport at the minute. But we need that. We need the undefeated going against the undefeated to create these exciting fights.
I think I was saying last week, or maybe I've said it before, that I think that the opponents on the B side, I'm not saying Jasmine was a B side, but she's the lesser name of the two. And usually what was happening when professional boxing sort of started really taking off in the last couple of years, the B side seemed to be lacking in skill set. You either got a really great opponent or not so great opponent. What I think's happening at the moment is you're getting some really great girls, and they're putting on a fantastic show, aren't they?
Definitely. I mean, like, you look at all the girls' fights recently, and they've all been very, very exciting. And I think that's where we're all here to prove a point, and everyone just wants to prove that they're the best. So, as you said, like, we have seen in the past that the B side can be a bit more, less skillful, or things like that. But recently, it's been getting a lot better, where we've been seeing two great opponents going at it, trying to step up through their careers. So we really, really did need to see that. And all I've seen from that fight is positive feedback about it, just about what a great fight it was like and how great an account both girls made for themselves that day.
Do you know what I've noticed? Because I know Shannon doesn't really, she didn't have a lot of amateur bouts. She's only had, I think that was her 7th fight. I think it was the 7th professional fight. What I like at the moment, she's making really good adjustments, because a lot of people were saying how good she was. And luckily she's gone back in the gym and she's listened to the positives, but she's obviously, you know, working on little adjustments. And it was good to see her grow technically. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you'd noticed that about her. I thought she'd grown technically. She was able to like close down the gap a lot. Before, she was finding a little bit of distance was a tricky thing for her. Now she seems to be just flowing nicely and finding a distance and letting them hands go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, she seems like a very driven woman, you know, so she's probably definitely, as soon as after a fight, she's probably going back in, you know, learning what she can do after her fights and things. So, yeah, definitely. I think she's definitely coming on very, very well. And, yeah, as I said, they both looked really, really good in that fight. They both, like, for me, it was an exciting fight for women's boxing, because there was, like, two great talents in that ring. They both just looked great, and it was just a great fight, and it was really nice to see.
I tell you what was quite interesting. So it was a little bit tricky for Ryan in the beginning to get past Jasmine's really long jab, and I found that once she sort of found a distance and everything, she was able to sort of. I mean, she's a bit of an animal. She's a bit of an animal, isn't she?
Yeah.
She was able to sort of let those shots go, and I think. Jasmine gave a really, really great account of herself, and I think she's tougher than she looks. Although she was sort of slightly slower to trigger off her shots, you know, she was getting beaten to the punch a lot of the time. I just thought she gave such a good account of herself, and I think going into that fight, I could be wrong, but I think going into that fight, I think people thought it was going to be a little bit of an easier ride for Shannon. Yeah,
definitely. Look, I mean. It can look like that sometimes, obviously, but I think just both girls, if you look at it from afar, it's a real good match for them both to have taken, because they're both undefeated. They both were 6-0 at the time, and you don't see many prospects. Not saying that they're not prospects anymore, but you don't see many girls at the start of their careers saying, right, I'm going to fight another girl who's obviously 6-0 as well, you know, so. I think that was just great in general, how they both just was willing to put that on the line. So yeah, I just think it's great.
Do you think that's the key then with the female side of boxing, professional boxing at the moment? Listen, we know that there is such a depth in the male game, so they can afford to build up those, you know, 10, 15, 20 fights before they go for titles. It's not the same for the females. Is it about sometimes just taking that chance and going, do you know what? If I lose, I lose. There's no shame in it.
Yeah, like, look, you look back at the old school fights and you see all the greats, they've got losses on their records because they didn't care. They'd get in and fight anyone and everyone. And I feel like that's how it should be more in our generation, instead of, you know, padded records and stuff. Obviously, you need to build that experience, and there is a smart way of going about it, but I do think it is good to, you know, put it on the line a little bit, you know, give our fans some entertainment. At the end of the day, they're the ones paying for us to be here, to be doing what we're doing. So, yeah, we need to provide that for them, definitely.
I think most boxers agree with you. I think they would like to. But the business side of the professional game is like, you know what?
Yeah.
If someone loses, and I just think it's a shame, they kind of get thrown to the side, don't they?
Yeah, definitely, and it shouldn't be like that. To be honest, I don't believe it should. You know, you see a lot of great people who lose fights, and it's just unfair to see them kicked to the curb a bit. But unfortunately, at the minute, that is how corrupt boxing is. If someone does lose, it is kind of like it's a lot bigger thing than it would have been back in the day. And I don't really know where that's come from, but it's just, as you said, I think it's more the business side of it now.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. It is a shame. Talking Ryan's nasty cut on. I tell you what, though, to be fair, there was a little bit of urgency after she got cut. But again, she dealt with that situation with such. She was just calm, and to be fair, I thought she would have gone out and panicked a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, definitely. Look, I think, if I'm right, was that her first cut she's ever had in a fight?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so obviously, like, I haven't been cut yet, so, like, I don't know, but I can imagine it's such a, like, inside it's a bit of a panicking situation because you're thinking, oh, I'm cut, you know, it's in the moment. So, yeah, I think she did deal with that well, like a true professional. Yeah, I can imagine it would be really throw you off quite a lot, but, yeah, she dealt with it really well.
And I have to say, I have to finish on it. Hats off, you know, to Jasmine, because I thought she gave a really, really good account of herself. She was not intimidated at all. I was just like, oh, you know, I really, really thought that at the beginning of the fight, I was like, oh, I'm not sure. And then I was like, okay, my girl's come to fight.
No, definitely. She's a great girl, Jasmine. I really got to know her in the past few weeks, and not only just as a fighter, she's actually a really, really lovely girl. And same for Shannon as well. They're both great girls, and that's what I think made it a great fight. Just they're both game as came to put on a show for the fans and gave them what they wanted to see.
Yeah. 100%. I think they both won some fans on Saturday night. Shannon Ryan won by unanimous decision. Yeah, enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, actually. I'm enjoying the way that the voices are getting a little bit quiet around female boxing. I used to read, I still read a lot of comments on just on different things on Instagram and whatever. And some of the comments before about female boxing were quite derogatory. And now people are like, okay.
Yeah, definitely. It's getting really exciting. It really is. Like just these fights and things. It is getting so exciting. So, yeah, I'm really, really happy with how it's going. I think now is the prime time in women's boxing. I think it's gone from here to here, like in the space of a year or so. It's just flying at the minute with all the massive fights that have gone ahead, and like a massive thank you to all the big names in women's boxing who have created those fights, you know, those big headlined fights, because they really are putting performances on. Like we're seeing like women's fights getting fights of the years and things, which we probably wouldn't have seen a few years ago. So it is just amazing to see.
It is, and you know, there's more. How can I put it? There's still some way to go in terms of money, etc. But it's all going in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. I think the only way now for women's boxing is up. Like we're seeing that the best are fighting the best, and that's all we can ask. Which I think the men's is getting better for that now. To be fair, like I've seen a lot of big fights been made recently, but I think what we saw in the lack of the men's boxing was that the best weren't fighting the best. But the women's were fighting the best. They was getting them fights together. But yeah, I think even the men's now is going, like obviously it was flying anyways, but I mean I think even the men's now is flying a bit more because they're getting the big fights together as well. So I think boxing in general at the minute is actually flying.
Yeah. I mean, people would say, you know, they do it in the UFC, why can't they do it in the boxing? And I totally agree.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think if we could be a bit more like that, then yeah, it'd be amazing.
So, can I ask you a favour? If you're enjoying this content, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on your notification bell so you know when we drop new content.
Turn it on.
Turn it on. So, Miss $1 Billion Baby.
Oh, I like that name.
I do. Who came up with that name?
I think it was either Brad or my dad. I think they were saying about $1 Million Baby, but then it related to the film, and they was like, oh, it's got a bad ending. So then there was like, oh, hold on, $1 Billion Baby. So
actually, that's quite thoughtful, thinking that yeah, it did have a bad ending, actually, didn't it?
Yeah. So it's got a sad ending. So we thought, how can we change it?
Yeah, we didn't want any,
$1 billion baby, yeah.
didn't want any bad karma.
No.
Yeah, no, fair enough, fair enough. So you're trained by former British and Commonwealth champion, my friend Bradley Skeete.
Yes.
How did you two join together?
It was a bit mad, actually, because basically my brother was sparring down Forge Gym, where Brad trains. And Brad was actually in the other corner of who Michael was sparring. So my dad kind of heard a few things that he was saying to the guy that Michael was sparring, and he was like, he quite liked what he was hearing, you know, like what he was telling him to do, the instructions he was giving him. And then a few months later, Michael ended up training with Brad, because it's only round the corner from us. It's like 10 minutes, so it's perfect. And then I started coming in, and then me and Brad really gelled well as well. So all of our styles just really, really gelled. Like, I've got the flair. Brad used to have flair. You know, he was teaching me that. So we just really, really hit it off from the beginning, like just straight away. And not only as a trainer and a boxer, but now we're kind of like family as well. We're very, very close. You know, he comes round to my house with all my family. We have cups of teas all the time and things like that. So, yeah, we're really close, not just as a boxer and trainer, like just as a, you know, family in general. So
yeah, boxing it does that, doesn't it, to you?
Definitely, that's why it's a great sport. It brings in great people to your life, you know. So yeah, it's like I've only known Brad over a year now, but it feels like I've known him forever. And you need someone in your corner who you can really trust. And you know, we wanted, you know, it was perfect really, because we wanted to stay close to home as well. And he was right round the corner, 10 minutes away. So it really just worked out well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think what you're saying about just having someone that you can trust in your corner, and I'm guessing people tuning in would think, well, of course you're going to want somebody that you can trust in your corner, but that's not always the case, is it?
No, yeah, it's really hard to find, especially in boxing, you know. It can be such a corrupt sport at points. But yeah, with Brad in my corner, I know through thick and thin he'll be by my side, and that is really what you need in this sport.
And I'll tell you, he will be. He's a really good man.
100%. I can, you know, from being around him, like I can see that, you know, him and my dad, they get on so well. Him and my brother, just him and my whole family, we all really, really get on well. And as I said, it's like he's part of the family now.
That's good to hear. So yeah. I was really impressed with your debut. Fought at the York Hall against, was it Sonia Klaus?
Yes.
I hope I said that correctly.
I think that was correct.
I always butcher people's names.
I'm bad as well. I'm always like, oh no.
Yeah, so I really, really enjoyed that fight. I thought that just the confidence, you were nice, you were relaxed style, you're great on your feet, you got loads of swagger. I mean, you cheeky little thing. But stopped her in the fourth round. How did you handle the pressure of such a significant milestone?
Do you know what it was? I think I've been around the pro game for so long, since I've been a young girl, because obviously my dad's been a promoter and a manager for years. My brother's obviously been boxing for years. So I think even though obviously it was a lot of pressure on me, and I knew how many people were saying, oh, is she as good as people were saying? It's just because of her dad. It's just because of this. I knew all those things were going on in the background, but I trusted and believed in what I've been doing in the gym and how I was preparing, and all that confidence. It doesn't come from nowhere, you know. It comes from the hard work I put in the gym and the hours I put in. So getting in there, really, I was actually quite calm. I was relaxed because I knew what I was going to do.
Do you know what? I don't think I've ever seen anybody as happy to walk into a ring. Just for the people that haven't seen her fights, where have you been? Tune in. She dances into the ring. Does that help you to stay relaxed and sort of get into your flow?
Definitely. Like, I feel like even when I'm sparring, if I have 1 minute where I'm like letting my hands go with flair and, you know, my hands down, I feel like it gives you a bit of a buzz, like a bit of a raising, I don't know, just a raising, like, I'm not sure, but yeah, it just gives me a buzz. And I feel like dancing into the ring, I'm like, right, now I've got to do a job. There's no way I can't do a job now, you know? It's like, if I hadn't prepared properly and if I wasn't confident, so I wouldn't be dancing into the ring. So that dancing and that, you know, that aura, it comes from very hard work behind the scenes.
There are times where you're at a fight, you know, the ones where someone comes in with the shorts, they're doing a backflip, they're giving it all, the big one, and then they get done.
No, that's not happening.
Like, I beg you. Oh, well, you think, to be fair, they come in and they're all flashing that and you think, I beg you, you better be able to box after all this.
Yeah.
And to be fair, you came in, you just looked relaxed, and then the smile on the face. And I'm going to be honest, it kind of made me go, I'm really looking forward to that. I didn't think it came across as cocky. It came across just so confident and like, listen, I'm going to put on a show here. Are you ready? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Look, I'm not a cocky person. I'm just like, I'm honestly, it's just confidence. And that is just, when you meet me and when, you know, you talk to me, it is just my personality. I am one of them. Like, if I'm at a family party, I'll be the one dancing. And yeah, I'm just a bit of a showwoman. I like to excite people. I don't want to just be one of these normal boxers who they're expecting to just walk out with a serious face, get in there and fight. I want to bring something a bit different, a bit more unique, something people can get excited about.
Yeah. So, your choice of music, it's garnered a lot of attention, and there are some misconceptions about your background. Can you discuss how you select your music and address all those misunderstandings about your background?
I like old school music. Obviously, I think people can tell that now because the last 3 songs I've had have been quite old school. But my second fight, a lot of people were saying, "What ghetto superstar? Why is she walking out to that? She's not ghetto." But honestly, I can say now it wasn't because of that concept. You know, I've been brought up very well. I'm not trying to be something I'm not. I'm not trying to say I'm from the ghetto. I'm not trying to say that at all. It was just I like the song. And when I get in the ring, I am ghetto.
Yeah. And sometimes, to be honest, people just read too much into things. They just get too deep. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's like they think too deep into it about what someone's actually doing. Like, it's not like I've walked up to that and now I think, you know, I'm a gangster. I'm from this. Because I don't. I know I've had a great upbringing. I'm not from the ends. You know, I'm not trying to say that, but yeah, I like the song and I liked how it said superstar in it. So yeah, that was it really.
Simple, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Your most recent fight against Lauren Belen-Valdebentu, she went 8 rounds with Chloe Watson. You're really mixing it in with some good girls. Good test? It
was a great learning fight. I learned a lot from it. I've been back in the gym working on the things I can work on. And these are the fights I need, really. I need these girls who are actually going to come to fight, not girls who don't want to be in there and are just going to fall over when you hit them type of thing. That's not what I want. I want people who are going to test me, help me learn as I'm going along because I'm still young. I still need these learning rounds of where someone's going to come and test me and I can see what I need to work on. So it was a great fight in that perspective. She's a very experienced pro. She knew how to get through the rounds, how to tie me up, you know, how to get a little bit dirty with me at points, which I needed. And, you know, fair play to her because we were both in there to do the same thing and she got through the rounds. So tough woman. And yeah, it was a great learning curve for me.
Do you know what is interesting? There's so many fighters that they're at the beginning of their career and they come out and they're very frustrated in what they've done. And it's like, you are at the beginning of your career, you are giving such a great account of yourself already, and it can only build from here. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of my team around me have said I've been a bit too hard on myself after, fights sometimes. I'm just very critical in myself. It's just something in me that I really do just want to get better. But yeah, I think I've just got to take it as I'm just constantly learning. I'm constantly trying to get better. And these fights are the fights that are going to bring me on, The girls that have been in there, have done it, have, gone rounds and know how to get through the rounds and fight. So these are really the fights I need just to get better in my career, and these are the fights I want.
Yeah. No, good for you. Good for you. So start from the beginning. Can you tell me about your background in boxing and, what initially motivated you to get into boxing?
So to be honest, as a kid, I was very, very overweight. I would constantly say, "Oh, let me come, let me come." At first, my dad and my mum didn't really want me to box, so it took them a lot of convincing. But eventually, they'd let me go to the odd session here and there, and I just ended up falling in love with it. I'd be sparring my brother in the hall; he'd be on his knees, and I'd be, punching him up. And I just ended up falling in love with the sport, and it did me wonders in the sense of it made me lose a ton of weight, which I was very insecure as a young girl. And it just brought out so much confidence in me. I believe now I wouldn't be as talkative and as confident as a person if I didn't have boxing. So it's honestly done wonders for me, and I just love it.
Yeah, it's amazing what it can do for you, even for the people that just do it recreationally.
Definitely. Look, I say to anyone that, struggles with confidence, just wants to do fitness, anything like that, just go into a boxing gym, because when you go into a boxing gym, it's like everyone there is just accepting. Everyone gets along. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from. Everyone just gets along. So I say to people, if, they're shy, or if they're not out there, they haven't got much confidence, or they want to lose weight or anything like that, I felt like to go to a boxing gym, because there's no judging there.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really does bring out the best in you as well. Honestly, I saw it in myself. I'm just, I don't know what I'd be doing without boxing now. I absolutely love it.
It's interesting, though, you said that your parents, particularly your dad, not wanting you to go into boxing.
Yeah.
I always find that quite interesting when somebody's involved in boxing, but yet they don't want their daughter or sister or... I find that quite interesting, actually.
It's a lot of people get a bit baffled by that. I think it was more my mum, to be honest, but I think with my dad it more came from a point of view of he's seen everything what goes on in boxing. He's seen the highs and he's also seen the lows. So I think it also came from a protective point of view from him. He already had one child boxing, which is like already enough stress, like let alone having two, and one of them being a little girl. So I do just think I understand where they were coming from now, because it just came from a place of protection and love. So I don't have any, bad blood towards them for that at all. I really, really understood where they was coming from, not wanting me to box straight away.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess, the father part of him takes over, doesn't it?
100%. Look, as a parent, the last thing you kind of want is your little girl, I suppose, or any of your children to go into a sport where it's dangerous and there can be consequences and you are getting punched in the face. So I do think it is scary for a parent when their kid says, "Oh, I want to go into boxing," because it's not a safe sport. Anything can happen when you get into that ring, and that's why I think, my dad and my mum, that they're so confident in me now because they see how I prepare for it. And, my dad's my biggest supporter through everything, in training, everything, he's my biggest fan. And it's really, really great to have him around because he's one of the most loyal people in boxing. And it's the best person to have around me in this game.
So you talk about your father. You are part of the Hennessy dynasty. Let's call it that. Your father, Mick, is a promoter, for those that don't know, and your brother, Michael Hennessy Jr., is also a boxer. You turned over in 2023. I think you just touched on it briefly earlier on. how did you deal with the pressure and the skepticism surrounding your entry into the pros, basically due to your father's influence? Can you share any sort of specific experiences?
No, I saw it all over, social media, people saying, oh, it's just because of her dad she's here. Just all things like that. She's, just loads of different things, just saying I've basically got to where I am through my dad and things like that, which, look, I'm not going to lie, my dad opened up the door for me in the pro ranks, 100%. But he opened up the door and I kicked it down. On my pro debut, I showed everyone what I've got, and I believe, I silenced a lot of the critics on my debut because I did something that I don't believe many other pros have done. That girl had never been stopped. I was 18 years of age and I got in there and I made a real statement. I danced to the ring. I got in there. I had a good performance, and then to follow it up, I also stopped her. So I think I don't really let the critics get to me. I just think with my performances I proved them wrong, and I feel like I have been proving them wrong, and I have silenced a lot of them.
You said you've grown in confidence. Is that now just something that, like, I'm not going to let this bother me, I'm just going to do my talking in the ring?
Definitely. Look, I believe every time I get into the ring I'm going to shock people. People question my age all the time. Oh, you're 19, take this slow, this and that. But I've seen what I do in the gym, and obviously the gym is different to fighting, don't get me wrong. But I know how far I'm going to go. I know it's written in the stars for me because, with my performances as well, don't get me wrong, I haven't been happy. The last one I wasn't too happy with, but every time I've got in the ring and performed, I've hardly been hit and I've hardly been touched. So, I think the critics are going to keep getting silenced by me, to be honest. And I just don't listen anymore. I just let my confidence shine through in the ring.
Hey, that's good to hear. It really, really is good to hear. Have you got any advice for any aspiring females, or at least aspiring boxers, that may be going through the same thing? What advice would you give them if they were facing similar challenges?
Just to block it all out, you know yourself how hard you've worked and like what preparation you've put in the gym. So no keyboard warrior or someone who comments something on the internet can take that away from you. So when you get to that big stage, take advantage of it. Know you're meant to be there. Take advantage of that platform or whatever you're going to do, and just shine it through yourself. No comment or anything is going to affect that unless you let it.
I might end it here. I tell you what, wise words.
You know what? I was a bit shocked when they was rolling off my tongue, and I was like, "Whoa, slow down, Fran."
Is that me?
Is that me, really?
No, fair play to you. And I mentioned your brother, Michael. What's happening with Michael? Is he still boxing? The workout day, pre-fight workout, he was there doing the old pads.
Yeah. No, he's doing well, actually. He's taken a little break. He's been a servant of this sport since he's been 11 years of age. And when I tell you he was one of the hardest workers and just studied the sport for such a long time, and didn't really have, he had time with his friends and stuff, but nowhere near as much as, the normal person. He never really went out with his friends, never really lived like his youth life, to say. So he really just needs that break, and he's just having a year out to just, have a bit of time for himself, find out what other things he likes other than boxing, because boxing just consumed his life for such a long time. And I just feel like he's only 24 years of age now, and he's got so much time ahead of him. So if he needs that year out to figure himself out, figure out what he wants to do, then he should be allowed to have that, because he's done a great deal for boxing. He's had over 100 amateur fights, loads of pro fights, and I just believe he's just done great things for the sport. And I feel like when he comes back, everyone's going to see a different fighter.
You're absolutely right that this sport can absolutely consume us, and he is a young, I was going to call him a kid, he's not a kid, he's a man. but for him, for some people, you just need to take a step back and enjoy life, and then maybe fall back in love with the sport again.
Definitely, because Michael, I spoke to him and he definitely lost love for the sport, and, he just lost that spark a little bit. And anyone that knows, if you lose that, then when you're getting in there, you're not going to want to throw a punch as hard. You're just not going to have that effort as much. And before his last fight, he had so much go on, and I could just, tell he wasn't in a very good place in himself. And he wouldn't say that himself, obviously, but for me as a sister, seeing him just get through that fight the way he did, and what great fight it was, it really did just make me really, really proud of him for what he's been through and everything. And I'm so happy for him, because I see a smile back on his face now, and he's really, really happy. He's getting back to his normal self, and yeah, I feel like he's going to fall back in love with boxing, and we're going to see a great, great version of Michael. Not that he wasn't a great version in his last fight, but people were saying that he's, not punching and things. But what Michael was known for in the amateurs was being a fighter. No one would want to get in a fight with Michael because he can have it, and especially at the start of his pro career and towards the end as well. But all it was in his last couple of fights was he just lost the love for the sport.
Yeah, it's tough because when someone has such a great amateur career, and let's be fair, there are two different sports, professional
100%.
boxing and amateur boxing. So that's the first thing. So he obviously came in with a weight on his shoulders, and then you've got the Hennessy name. It's a lot, and I know you're going through the same thing, but it's a lot. Yeah. It's great to hear that he's okay and that he's enjoying life, because it's tough being young and being not being able to go out with your mates and everything. It's really tough. It
is, definitely. And as I said, he's had, he's never dodged any bullet in his career. He's as game as they come, Michael. He's so tough, and he would fight anyone. And he did that from the start of his pro career. He didn't take the normal route a pro would take with getting kind of eased into it and things. He was in a 50-50 fight in his second fight. So I think that just shows his character anyways. And I think once he comes back, people are really, really... And once he gets that love again for the sport, because I can already see he's missing it. I can already see it, I see him shadow boxing and doing bits of training with me and here and there. But once he gets that love back, I do really, really believe people are going to see a new Michael Hennessy.
Good. It's good to hear. Good to hear. So, you've mentioned, I think I heard somewhere, that your inspiration, or you're drawing inspiration from boxers like Nazim Hamid.
Yes.
One of my favourites.
Definitely.
One of my favourites. So how do you incorporate the entertainment and showmanship into your performances, such as your ring walks and your choice of outfits?
Oh, you know what it is? When I used to watch Prince Naseem, obviously I watch him recently, but when I watch him, it's like you're excited just to see his ring walk and it just brings that element of excitement just to see. And I think that's great when you're not only exciting people with the fighting, but the things outside the ring as well, like just to be both like a showman and a great fighter, put that into one, and it's just like, wow. And for me, just when I would watch him, it'd really, really excite me. Just I'd love it, and I'd look at him and be like, wow, that's what I want to do to people. I want the crowd to be standing up like that with me. So yeah, that's why every time I fight, I'm like, right, let's get the outfit, let's get a good outfit. Let's get a good ring walk planned. Obviously, the performance will come with it, with the hard work. But I just think it's really important to just have all different elements to excite the fans.
Listen, it's a performance. At the end of the day, you're selling tickets. You want to give people value for money.
Definitely, 100%. None of us would be in the situation we are without the supporters who come and support us and pay their hard-earned money to, buy tickets. So we should really just put on a performance for them. And that's what I try to do when I get into the ring. I really just want to perform and make them want to come back again.
Talking about making people want to come back again, Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on your notifications. So
Turn them on.
Brilliant. So, I assume that you were going to like your dad's shows when you were younger. I think you're saying that, you know, obviously you've been on the pro scene in particular a long time. Were there any like particular fight cards that stood out, or any fighters that stood out to you?
Sam Egginton, he's like great. You know, Isaac Chamberlain, all of them. It's just great to see them fight, and always exciting fights. So just growing up around that is just amazing. Yeah,
you've actually named some very, very, very good names there. What was it like to meet Savannah Marshall for the first time?
Honestly, it was one of my best experiences ever in boxing. It's just, I know my dad manages her and things, but honestly, it's not because of that. What actually happened was, so my dad and brother were going on a trip to actually see, I think it was Savannah and Huey train and spar. So they was going on this trip, and I said to my dad, "Oh, Dad, please can I come? Please let me come. I really want to come." Because I heard him talking about Savannah and how like he just started managing her and things like that. So I really wanted to come, and my dad said, "Oh, okay, come on then, come with us." And I ended up going with them, and Savannah ended up taking me around sparring. I was only 12, so she was just taking me around, showing me things. And wow, it was just one of the best experiences. As a young girl who loved boxing, I was just, honestly, from that day, I just wanted to box so much. And she's honestly a great person outside the ring, and she's a great fighter. So when you put that combination together, it's just amazing. It's just, that's what we need. We need inspirations like her.
She is. She's a great person, a great boxer, and what a wonderful thing to have experienced at such a young age, to have, because the thing is, got to remember, she was an Olympian.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Definitely. She was an Olympian.
I know. It was crazy at the time. I was, honestly, as a young girl, it was just amazing. And obviously, Huey and Peter Fury were there, and I really get along with them, and it was just a great trip. And yeah, it was just amazing to be surrounded by people like that. It was just amazing.
Yeah, they're good people.
Very good people, yeah.
I like Peter as well, because he speaks his mind. He doesn't take any shit, does he?
No, he's just, honestly, we're very close to Peter, and he's just such a great man. He's just so genuine. It's hard to find, as I said earlier, it's really hard to find genuine people in this sport, but Peter's one of them. He's a very, very genuine man, and alongside that, a great trainer.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. He doesn't strike me as a person that would blow smoke up your backside.
No, I don't. Peter's definitely not someone that would blow smoke up your backside, but he's one of them that will be with you through thick and thin, and if he's with you, he's with you. And also on top of that, he's just a great trainer. He's got so much knowledge, and it's great to know him. And Peter, you know, he gives me advice sometimes, and I take every single bit of it on board. You know, he's been around the game for so long, brought on so many amazing talents. So yeah, he's just a great person and a great trainer.
I've been up to the gym a couple of times. He was very, very generous and accommodating. And one of the things that I noticed is, and I've been around boxing a long time, I've been into many gyms, but he's able to hold people's attention, his boxers' attention. When he speaks, they listen. When
he speaks, you need to listen. Like, it's not, you have to listen when he speaks, because like, you have to have respect for Peter. He's just such a great person. He's trained so many great fighters. He's brought so many great fighters from the bottom to the top. And I think, you know, he definitely needs more praise as a trainer, because he's just amazing. And he's such a genuine person. I couldn't say it enough. Him and my dad are very, very close. And yeah, he's like family to us as well, Peter. You know, yeah, so I absolutely love Peter.
He strikes me as a person that, he is a great trainer, but he strikes me as a person that doesn't really care for the adulation.
So I'm not sure what that means. What does...
Just he doesn't care about the praise. He's not really
No.
bothered about the limelight. He's quite. He appears to me like to be the person that wants to just do the thing, do the boxing, do the training, and he's quite happy to just sit back and let everybody else take the limelight.
Yeah, honestly, Peter, he doesn't care about any of that. You know, I've seen it firsthand with him. He's not bothered about all the limelight and all the interviews and all things like that. He's just one of those. He'll say it exactly how it is, and he wants to get the job done and just wants to help his fighter. He's a very caring person as well. So, and I think that's the best way to be. Definitely as a trainer and just as a person in general. He's just genuine, and it's not about him. It's about the fighter, and he just wants the best for his fighter.
Yeah, 100%. You're a great ticket seller. Boxer must love you.
Yeah, no, I do like to shift a few tickets. It's amazing, really. I've got some great supporters, and I'm just so grateful for all the supporters, because, you know, they're a big part in people's journeys, the supporters. You know, they're paying their hard-earned money to come and watch you fight and support you. So it's amazing to see, and I'm so grateful for everyone that does come and buy a ticket and comes to support me. It's just amazing.
It's also amazing that you seem to draw a large female following, and I think that that brings a new set of eyes on the sport, because they're all non-boxers, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely. I'll be honest, I've been surprised how much, you know, messages I've been getting from just young girls saying that they're getting into boxing because of me and things like that. I do, like, now it's got a bit mad where, like, it's just, the messages I'm getting is crazy. Like, as a young girl myself, to receive such lovely messages from young girls saying I've inspired them and things like that, it's just crazy, and it's so nice to hear. Like, this is the main thing in the sport for me. I'd love to inspire the younger generation and, you know, help them where I can, and, you know, give them nice words and things like that. I the other day I had a young girl say that I made her feel worthy again. I helped her get her drive back, kind of thing, and it was just like, to hear that was just amazing. And it was only because I just replied to a message and was, you know, having a conversation with her, and it's amazing to hear things like that.
It's inspiring to hear that you're having that effect on so many people.
Yeah, it does. It's crazy for me. Like, just, you know, it's not me being any type of way. I'm just being myself. And when young girls message me, or anyone messages me asking for advice or anything, I'm there, because that's just how I am. I'll, like, talk to anyone. I'll give advice where it's needed. And, like, the young girl in me is just shocked with what's going on. Like, I never thought people would, like, look up to me like how they're messaging me, if that makes sense. It's crazy.
No, if there's a light inside you, do you know what I'm saying? You're glowing, and the confidence that you ooze, and you're approachable, and so I can see why people would want to get in touch with you.
Thank you, I appreciate that. No, that's one of the main things for me. Definitely, just inspiring the next generation and just things like that. I just think that's amazing, just to hear words like that.
You can be in your little bubble, can't you, and not realise the effect that you have on people.
Definitely. Like, I think for us boxers especially, we're in camp and we're just constantly boxing, and it's sometimes it takes a lot for us to just sit back and, you know, chill out and things. But after fights, I do go through a lot of my messages and try to get back to as many as I can on, you know, on things, just to, you know, I just believe that's how it should be. Just when you see, you know, young fighters coming in your DMs asking for advice or asking for anything like that, or I just believe that's how it should be. We should give back a little bit in that sense.
It's good to hear that you're giving back, but in your opinion, though, you know, how important is it to have sort of discipline also in the world of boxing, and has it contributed to your journey and success in the sport?
Definitely, a massive part of boxing is discipline. You can't box if you don't have the discipline. You know, you can't be. It's even things like late nights. You can't really be having late nights. You can't. It's about. There's so many factors to it. It's about sleep. It's about food. It's about, you know, even after your fights, you can't go and drink and do all things like that. You have to be disciplined in. Yeah, like,
well,
you can look, but for me, now I'm professional and things like that. I wouldn't go and drink after a fight. I don't believe I'll drink until the end of my career, to be honest. Just because I believe, you know, that's not the life I should be living. So yeah, it is in that sense. It's, you know, when all your friends are drinking and stuff like that, you do have to be disciplined. And look, each to their own. I'm not saying it's bad if you do, but just in that sense of not partying and not doing things like that, you do have to be very disciplined and going home and getting into bed early, things like that, you know.
Yeah, all that good, boring stuff. But hey, yeah, that's what's needed, isn't it?
Definitely, you can't. These are the sacrifices you have to make to get to the top. So I'm hoping one day that they'll definitely all pay off.
You can't play boxing, as the saying goes.
No, definitely. Look, it's a very dangerous sport. So yeah, you definitely can't play it. You can't take things for granted in this sport because anything can happen. So you do have to just be disciplined and so dedicated. There's no luck in this sport. It's just all through hard work and discipline.
And alongside your boxing career, you've been involved in some advocacy work for women, haven't you? In sports in particular. Something around access for sports bar for young women. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, so there was a campaign that came to me about how, you know, young girls not being able to afford sports bars and how it should be on the school kit lists. And for me, look, I've never really had the trouble of not being able to afford a sports bra. You know, I've always just grown up with one. And it made me really sad when I actually thought about it, hearing, you know, they couldn't afford it and how they were struggling with things like that. So for me, like, even though you don't think about a sports bra a lot, it is such an essential form of kit, especially when you're doing a sport, you know. And if young girls don't have a sports bra, then they might feel insecure in themselves. It can actually injure your boobs. You're in your bra and, you know, jumping up and down, things like that. So even though it looks like it's such a small bit of kit, it's such an essential, especially if someone wants to pursue a sporting career. So for me, when I saw it, I just was like, you know what, I really, really want to get involved in this and just try help out where I can. So yeah, that was it really. But yeah, I just think it's such an essential thing.
Yeah, it's so important, especially in an impact sport, to have a good fitting sports bar. And sports bars are expensive.
They are, and you know what? Nowadays, everything's getting so expensive, and until you sit back and actually think about it, like, because I think a lot of us just, you know, we get lost in our daily life, you know, and things like that. I definitely did, and when this came to me, I sat back and I actually thought about it, and I thought, you know, these things do happen, and, you know, if I can help out with that, then I'm going to try help out with that. But even something as little as a young girl not having a sports bra might make them think, not go down that route. So I think it's just such an essential thing.
I agree with you, actually. I have coached in schools before, and the things that stop young people getting involved in sports is kit, being embarrassed about all sorts of different things, not wanting to sweat. There's a whole kind of list of things, but especially when women are developing and changing through puberty, they get very embarrassed and a little bit self-conscious. So I think it's admirable, the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I hope you continue. Looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations, not just for your boxing career, inside and outside of the ring?
So my goals is obviously in boxing, I want to be the youngest undisputed world champion. That's my goal. I believe I'll get there. The youngest at the minute is 23. I'm only 19 years of age, so I've got time. So that's obviously the main goal. And then outside the ring, just doing as many things I can to just help out with different things like that, like just like the Sports Bra campaign, you know, helping where I can with, you know, any local clubs or anything like that. I'd just like to help out with anything I can, really, just to influence the younger generation, anyone who, you know, is not very confident in themselves, schools, anything like that. Just, I'd love to be able to help with that and just things, I don't know. Yeah, it's just bringing on the younger generation, I guess, in a sense.
Open for opportunities, basically.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I'm going to a school. I think it's next 2 weeks. I'm doing a talk, and when I heard that, like, it's a school around my area. So when I got asked for that, I was like, wow, you know, it really, like, I was like, really, like me, you know, it was just crazy just to even hear a school wanted me to do a talk, you know. So yeah, just all things like that. They're just great. Honestly, I would love to do.
Who better to kind of inspire the next generation coming up? It's easier, I guess, coming from a young voice.
Definitely, because I feel like we can kind of relate in a way, I guess. Obviously, it's great when you have like older people to look up to and things, but I feel like obviously I can kind of get them on a level with my age and things, because I'm still young myself. So, and just, you know, if people, you know, around my age are scared to do things or approach things, you know, I'm always there to offer advice or anything. So, yeah, just things like that I just think are great to do, and I'm always open to do.
Your name is on everybody's lips at the minute. So, firstly, Claressa Shields, she's had a few things to say about you. That must fill you with a bit of confidence.
Yeah, definitely. Look, she's a great fighter. She's a big name in women's boxing. Yeah, so it's amazing to hear. Definitely, it's great to hear. It's just been crazy, the amount of support and things I've been getting from some great people. So yeah, it has just been crazy, the amount of feedback and support. Obviously, I'm very close with Savannah, but yeah, no, they're both great fighters, and together they both made history on that all women's card. Just in the sport, they really opened it up for women's boxing, and it was like, as a young girl, being there and soaking in that atmosphere was just amazing. And together on that night, they really did make history for women's boxing.
From just a boxing point of view, you can admire both fighters. Of
course. Look, both great fighters. Claressa Shields, she is a great fighter. Definitely, there's no doubt about that. She's done a lot for women's boxing. So Savannah, so they're both, I feel like they're both great inspiration for everyone in women's boxing, just for what they've done for the sport, you know. I believe they'll probably have the first one of, actually, I think Chantel Cameron and Katie Taylor as well will have a trilogy, but I believe Savannah and Claressa will have a trilogy as well, and I think that will go mad. I think everyone's crazy to see it, because it was such a great fight and an amazing build-up as well.
It feels like something's brewing behind the scenes.
I actually don't know. I have no idea yet, so my lips are sealed.
I hope so.
Yeah, look, yeah, but I think that's what everyone wants to see. I think everyone wants to see them fight again. So I think it's just if it's under the right circumstances and all, you know, things in boxing. So yeah, I think that will definitely happen in the future. But I think that's what everyone's wanting to see. It's just the first one was so good. It like really did live up to the build up. And as I said, being there as a young girl, the atmosphere was just so crazy. So it was just amazing to see. And yeah, they should both be very, very proud of themselves for creating that and creating history, definitely.
Yeah, it takes two people. It takes a good dance partner, and yeah, it was an incredible fight. I have to mention it.
Go on.
Everyone's talking about you possibly fighting Ebonie Bridges.
Yeah.
You know, how realistic is that to have that fight made before the end of the year?
I don't see why it's not realistic. I think it can definitely happen towards the end of the year. Obviously, it does need to just be on both parties. So depends what her plans are or whatnot. But yeah, definitely, I'd be well up for that before the end of the year. So on my side, definitely.
So you have called her out, sort of half called her out, haven't you?
Do you know what it is? I'm not a disrespectful person. I'm not someone who's, you know, she's a former world champion. I'm not trying to, you know, discredit that. I'm just a young, confident girl who, you know, believes in herself, and I just believe it will be a great fight. You know, both quite big personalities, so I think that down the line later this year it would be a good fight.
It'd definitely be a good fight. I think you both bring, you know, bags full of support. Like you say, you're both very confident. I think the build up to the fight, I can just imagine how that's going to play out on the cameras, a bit of back and forth, and then yeah, I think it'll be actually a really good matchup. Yeah,
definitely. Look, I think it'll be definitely a good matchup, and I think it'll be one that the supporters would love to see as well. So look, let me build myself a little bit more, and then towards the end of the year, I'm definitely up for that.
Yeah, look forward to it. So listen, thank you so much for giving us your time. I mean, incredible journey so far. I know there is more to come. But yeah, until next time, thanks very much for giving us your time.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been great to talk to you. I've really, really enjoyed it.